It feels a long time ago to switch gears momentarily that the Collingwood Footy Club were flag favourites and didn't have a worry in the world. The worries have significantly mounted over the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's been a really tough 2 weeks. More broadly, there's a rap sheet now that goes back 5 years, as you pointed to on the Sunday Footy Show yesterday, and we'll take a look at that. Many incidents from Lockie and Josh's drug ban, Jordan obviously along the way, Jaden Stevenson's scandal. Heredia, they've now escalated that case with an independent professor and a whole lot more along the journey. Is this a trend, or is it a series of bad luck, do you think?
No, I don't think it's a series of bad luck, but the thing about it is Nathan Buckley is just a wonderful person, wonderful coach, and I just look at them. They were in a grand final 2 years ago, Cornsey. Prelim last year, I think their list is as good as any right now, but you need everything to go right for you to win a premiership. You need luck. And with injuries, you need everything to go right off the field, and they just can't get it. It's distraction after distraction. You wonder whether this will be another blown year for Collingwood.
Yeah, well, you can't win it if you have these types of things bobbing up. You just can't name a premiership winning side. Maybe not since the West Coast Eagles have they had as many off-field issues and gone and won it. So in the modern era, it's going to be really hard to do. And who's to blame, Caro? I mean, usually on-field performance always goes back to the coach, and regardless of what else is going on, the coach is responsible. This is more than that because it's off-field as well. Where does the blame lie?
I think there's a discipline problem, but I think in terms of the public presentation of it, Craig, we've got to single out the president, Eddie Maguire.
Yeah, he's been at the centre of this, the man who sits in this seat on a Wednesday night. Let's take a look back at not only his defence last week, but the accusations of hypocrisy that stem back to this program on April 29.
There'll be absolutely no sense of humour about anybody, climbing out the window or letting somebody climb in the window.
That won't be the last one.
Well, you know what? We say that all the time, like, the naughty boys. I said, no, it has to be the last time.
But I'm just telling you it won't be.
Yeah, OK. Yeah. Well, maybe it has to be 100,000 and you get suspended for the year. People make mistakes.
They do, but they get punished for them too.
Yeah, and he did, and he's taken it on the chin. I've got empathy for his situation, and I think a lot of people watching tonight would have empathy as well.
Someone else will make a mistake, Ed, and you're going, these players, how can they do it?
I think you're over-dramatising what I said.
So you've been a bit of a central figure in this, Lord. I'll get your views in a moment. Eddie went on to try and defend that this morning on Triple M Radio.
My point was that the AFL, I believe, needed to go hard from the word go. You go hard to set the tone, OK? So they didn't set the tone in that situation. They gave 1 and 2 week suspensions. Still Sidebottom, he did something ridiculous and he got a 4-week suspension. Now, the bottom line was Still Sidebottom and Collingwood accepted the decision. So there's no hypocrisy in that at all. I still believe that they should have come at the AFL and made it very, very onerous, any suspensions or penalties that were there.
Not a great defence, and I feel a bit uncomfortable talking about Ed behind his back, although he might be seeing this, given that we work with him and, in fact, he produces this program. But this is what we have to do, Matthew, and I went into Wednesday having some sympathy for Still Sidebottom when I compared his punishment to Lockie Hunter. Pretty much the entire football community by Thursday had a gutful of Still Sidebottom and Collingwood, and I have to say it was because of Eddie's comments on Footy Classified and on the Channel 9 News when he said he was proud of him.
Yeah, I think you're right, Cara. I think that Eddie is wonderful for footy. He's great for the AFL and he's great for Collingwood. But in this case, I didn't think he could separate himself from Still Sidebottom, the team he plays for, and he plays for the Collingwood Football Club. And that's why when I was sitting in your chair on Wednesday night, I wanted to take him on in that regard.
You looked uncomfortable in that conversation.
More uncomfortable in the fact that I didn't want to sit there and say, he started with the right intentions, he went to support a mate, and then it gets to 7:30 in the morning and suddenly he's let his team down, he's let everyone down, but I think Ed was looking for a way to give Steele an out. When I wasn't giving Steele an out, you know what I'd be like with my teammates, Kane. He's led his team. They would have won that game possibly against Essendon, so he's just hurt them.
There's no doubt Eddie made some mistakes last week, but for him to be responsible for all those off-field issues is too severe. I mean,
he's not responsible.
But I said who's to blame, and you said, well, it starts with the president, Eddie Maguire. Why does it start with Eddie? In my time of playing, I never had any face-to-face contact with the chairman. Maybe once in my career has the chairman addressed the group.
I said publicly at least. The focus is, and maybe he does that, maybe he does it deliberately to try and cover up the fact that there's clearly a discipline problem at Collingwood. But let's go back to 2008 when Nathan Buckley was not at Collingwood in a rare period of his football life and he was having a bit of a sabbatical in the media and 2 Collingwood players were in trouble. This is what Nathan said a long time ago on 3AW.
I can't understand why Eddie and Mick really had to discuss it. Generally, the footy manager deals with the disciplinary issues and the footy manager gets up and they move on. That happens with other clubs, but it seems that any little issue with Collingwood gets blown up a lot more than it needs to, and I think the club actually has a role in that.
You're telling Eddie he shouldn't have spoken?
I mean, I can't think of any other president that would have had to address that issue on the day.
Which is exactly what has happened this time, and it's exactly what has happened time and time again. There are questions being asked at Collingwood this week of the CEO, Mark Anderson. Is it time for him to stand up and be a stronger leader and stand up
Who's
to
asking
Ed?
that question?
People inside the club are saying that to me. And they are saying it, people in the football community are saying, Mark, who has been a really good CEO and driven that club really well behind the scenes, has to speak to Eddie about
do you know
this.
if they've got to Steele Sidebottom yet and read the law book to him and said, you hope, Hutchie, they haven't been going, Steele, we'll support you, we'll do this. That's where Kane can get out of hand.
He would have felt awful.
And
watching
his coach too. His coach compared it to the Melbourne player who did a far less transgression. But this question has been asked of Jeff Walsh, who would be tearing his hair out at the moment, first by me and then by Mick Warner in separate interviews on 3AW. Do you enjoy Ed being such a vocal voice in the game?
Yeah, well, Jared said 3 minutes ago he's the boss, so I've got to say yes.
Do you, as the football department, sometimes wish that the president, Eddie Maguire, didn't fire his mouth off as much as he does?
Michael, come on. I love listening to you because if you're not having a shot at Gil McLaughlin, you're having a shot at Eddie Maguire. But I'll give you a 10 out of 10 for trying, mate.
So Jeff Walsh can make a joke of it, but he won't answer the question. And he knows his. People who love Jeff Walsh are saying to me that he and Nathan Buckley are worried these performances by Ed could derail their season.
It would drive him mad, no doubt. But I have some empathy for him because there's a hospital handball for him. He's in a no-win situation. He'd publicly committed to a position, but he can't be seen to not support his player, so he has to take the public hit for looking...
There's different ways of doing it.
He has had no choice but to look hypocritical.
No, that's not right. That's not right. There was no need to put out a press release too. I mean, the
press release was an overreach.
It was a cover-up. I mean, he was wandering around the streets with Daniel Wills' daughter's puffer jacket around his waist and pretty much nothing else.
And you'd think Steele could have helped this. Like, the vice-captaincy really is symbolic in a footy club. Like, Steele could have walked in and said, let's remove any of the angst here. I'll hand back the vice-captaincy, review me at the end of the year. Does anyone really remember that Lockie Hunter was or wasn't vice-captain? It's not like he's tossing the coin, Lordo. Steele put his club in a deeper position by not taking the greater good. They still would have gone to him as a leader on the field. And
so maybe Eddie's doing this, Kane, to take the...
Still, Touchy makes a good point. Still probably should have stood down. And Lordo's point...
of course he should, and I'm sure that he will.
Was spot on, but...
What was the upside of keeping it versus the downside of all the consequences of the public conversation?
We're Collingwood, we're better than you, and shove it up everyone.
What I will say, Caro, people are wanting people to blame for Collingwood's rap sheet. If Eddie's not there, that doesn't mean these things aren't going away. It starts with a strong culture in your playing group. It starts with a strong coach who wants to clean out the players, like Nathan Buckley has tried to do in the past. But it's not all on Eddie. This whole stuff is not all on Eddie.
I think he's clearly got a blind spot for his own team, but that's been the way for 25 years, and he's defending his player. Like, if you're going to be guilty of anything, you might as well be guilty of being passionate about the people that work for you. I have some relatability for that.